This is just Bob Bowman, and I'm coming at you with another video. And in this video, I have a question, which is the topic of this video, and that is, what is an incel? And what I'm going to do first is I'm going to look at the definition from the Webster's Dictionary online to give us the definition of what an incel is directly. Incel, a person, usually a man, who regards himself or herself as being involuntarily celibate and typically expresses extreme resentment and hostility towards those who are sexually active. The term incels emerged from a Reddit group in which tens of thousands of users, most of them young men, commiserate about their lack of sexual activity, many of them placing the blame on women. In recent years, a number of these men have identified as so-called incels, short for involuntary celibates, an online subculture of men who express rage at women for denying them sex, who frequently fantasize about violence and celebrate mass shooters in their online discussion groups. Let's look at the etymology of it. Involuntary celibate. Note the word incel first appeared on a Usenet subgroup news group in the late 1990s. See the article by Ben Zimmer, How Incel Got Hijacked, published online at Politico Magazine, May 8th, 2018. The first known use was in 1999. So now that we have the definition of incels, we have to ask ourselves, who are incels? And by definition, it's men mostly who feel or think that they have been uh, discriminated against and blocked from the sexual marketplace, and that they have zero sexual market value out here and they're hostile towards the women. And that is who the incels are. And one thing that you have to understand by the definition terminologies of it, that incels, it's all about the way that they think. And that's most important for you to understand. The way that you think and the way that you look at things in society, the way that you look at your interactions with women is what will determine whether or not you consider yourself an incel or not. Nobody else can consider you an incel. It's up to you to consider yourself an incel. You see, and that is why, from what I've learned from the definition and what I've seen online, I am like, this terminology incel is a figment of everybody's imagination that either consider themselves an incel, or they call and bash other people and call them incels. And if you know that you can attract women, you're not an incel. Point blank and simple. And that means even if you attract women that you don't find attractive, that means even if you have women that's clamoring for a date with you that you would never give the time of day to, you're not an incel. That means that the majority of men out here in the world are not incels by definition and by what it is that we know that incels are. However, we notice that it is used as a sign language for women. And when we say sign language, we mean shame, insult, guilt, and the need to be right. And they use terminologies like this without understanding the definition, but they use terminologies like this to shame men into going along with the program or doing what it is that they want them to do, even though that in turn would be somewhat involuntary. You see, if you don't understand the definition of certain words that's being put out here in the atmosphere, you can be subjugated to those definitions and those words, and you can be like, well, maybe I am an incel because everybody else is calling me an incel, and you don't understand that the power of being an incel or not being an incel is from you. You have control and you have power into whether or not you are an incel or not. And like I was saying, these terminologies and this definition isn't being discussed fully, and this word is being tossed around by women that feel slighted by certain men or that don't want certain men. So they want to label this and slap this on certain men that either don't want them or they don't want, but they know that these men don't want the women that want them. So they'd be like, oh, he's just an incel. And then you have so-called alpha and beta males that use this terminology against certain men. And alpha men use this towards the men that they feel that they're better than, that they know have some difficulties with relationships with women. And they use this in a way to insult that man and to put that man down and to bring anger into that man, because it's like, ha ha, you're not me. You will never be me. You can't be me. You can't get all the women that I can get. So I'm going to place this label upon you because you're beneath me and I need somebody beneath me, well, who I feel is beneath me, so I can feel better about myself. And that's what alphas do. But then you also have the beta males that have given up on life, that have gone along with the program to be suckers and to let everybody else determine how their life would be. And these men will look at you like, oh, you think you're better than us? You're just like us. And honestly, we're not, or we would allow ourselves to be in the same situation as you. And I see a lot of uptick of beta males that try to shame certain men like passport bros and things like that. And it's kind of ridiculous. And they use terminologies like this and they be like, well, in the States, these men would be incels. So they have to go and travel overseas to, cope with the environment that they're living in and this and that. And, it's ridiculous because honestly, I think a lot of them want to do what it is that we do, but they don't have the balls or the determination to make a decision that's best for themselves. They allow themselves to be trapped and to be manipulated by the community as a whole to take the bad deals, as I call them. And so, if they see a man that's not going along with the program, and this man isn't an alpha, so to speak, and he isn't a beta, so to speak, they'll be like, well, he's probably just an incel. And they use it in a derogatory term and not understanding that they don't have the power to call a person an incel. Only that person has the power to call themselves an incel by definition. And so if a person is feeling like this, there's many options to cure it. Now, you have gentlemen like Platinum Elite that'll say, oh, if you having problems with women, maybe you need to just stick with the big women that have low self-esteem, or women that you don't find attractive or that have attitude problems that'll give you hell. But hey, at least you'll get some trim. And that's his way of dealing with the situation. That's his way of having a solution, which I'm not going to crap on, but I don't agree with that because I'm like, if you're miserable alone and you understand that you're going to be miserable in that situation, all you're doing is doing a trade-off. And you don't want to trade off. You want to move above where it is that everybody else is trying to set you at. And that's where I come in at. And I'm like, I'm not dealing with a trade-off in life because I've been doing that for so long and I've seen that the results aren't the results that I would like. So instead of doing trade-offs, I might as well work hard on myself, doing what I can, be the best version of myself so I can get better. When you know better, you do better. And, you know, there's more options than just that. Like I recommend men getting their passports and exploring the world and exploring their options outside of the pigeonhole that they have been conned and talked down to accept. And I'm saying you don't have to accept that. You can do better than that. But it's up to you whether or not you want to take that solution of moving around, traveling, and seeing what else is out there in the world for you. But at the same time, you still need to improve on yourself because you need money to travel. You need money to go to the gym and work out. You need money to eat better because I know in the hood where I grew up at, like getting fresh produce at times was very tough because it wasn't a lot of grocery stores. You had a lot of corner stores that had little things here and there, frozen vegetables and things like that. But the majority of the stores that was around, it was mostly like the greasy spoon restaurants that sell the ghee rolls and the Italian beefs, pizza, fried chicken, things like that. So it was a lot more restaurants that promoted poor health in the community than it was stores that actually had fresh produce, and that is an issue. But if you don't move around and you don't see things differently, you don't go to different neighborhoods and you don't go to different cities or different countries, you wouldn't understand that. You wouldn't know that. And so that's why I encourage men to go and get their passports. It isn't just about the women, it's about yourself, it's about improving your life. And so, with that being said, in my personal opinion, being an incel is a figment of people's imagination. If those people that feel unappreciated and uh, kicked out of the dating market, if they don't have the determination to do what it is that they need to do in order to overcome that situation, okay, then you gave up on yourself. So if you give up on yourself, that's not involuntary. That's voluntary to me because you allow other people to dictate how things are going to go in your life. And then I see that people throwing these negative terminologies and this negative word towards people as a way to control their emotions and to get under other people's skin. You see, if you knew the definition of incel and you know that you have difficulty with attracting the women that you like, even though you can attract women, you know that you're not an incel. If you've had sexual activity ever in your life, you know that you're not an incel. So you personally have to take power and control over how it is that you react to the certain people and certain things that they might say to you. And understanding that they want to insult you, that they want to put you down because they want to keep you at a low level so they can feel better about themselves. You see, and that's the game. That the game is to make you feel so low and to feel so bad about yourself that you will go ahead and do what it is that they want you to do. And I'm here to tell you that you don't have to do that. But it's up to you to figure that out for yourself. You have to come up with the realities of your personal life and you have to make the improvements that you have to make in order to make things better. Nobody else can do it for you. And you have to stand up for yourself. And you have to stand up for yourself regardless of whether or not it leaves you alone by yourself. Because honestly, it's better to be alone than to be in a room full of people that don't like you, that's going to talk down to you, that's going to criticize you, that's going to call you names such as incel. And now we see that people are throwing other names at people and trying to shame them. And now we're getting to the point to where if a guy wants to defend himself and say, "Oh, I'm not this," then he can get in trouble. You know what I'm saying? So they trying to squash all of our free speech as we're talking right now. And I'm being careful with what I say because I know that the streets are watching. But you know what's going on. And these people, they know that I'm right with what I'm saying. They know that I'm correct. They know that I understand what's going on, that I've taken time to think about it, to analyze it, to process it, And so they are mad that I figured it out. Just like I'm trying to teach you how to figure it out for yourself. They don't want you to figure it out. They don't want you to get it because they want you under their control. So of course they're going to throw more shade at me. Of course they're going to throw more insults at me because I'm not going along with the program that they picked out for me. And I have been working really hard over the past year and a half to deprogram myself. And I am making strides and improvements on deprogramming myself. You know why? Because it was something in me to let me know that I was better than where they was trying to place me at. And they didn't have the power to manipulate me the way that they thought they would. And that's why I ride solo. That's why I'm not a part of any organization right now. And I don't care who listening. I don't care who hears what I got to say. I am publicly saying that I'm not a part of any organization at this point because I'm standing on my principles. I'm standing on what it is that I believe in. And I'm going to do the best that I can for myself first. And once I get myself better, I will help other people out if they deserve it from my point of view. And that's what it is in life. You have to help yourself first. And if you don't help yourself first, you're going to be taken advantage of. And if you don't understand the definition of certain words, people can use it against you and try to make you feel bad about yourself, to control you, to shame you, to put you down, to isolate you, to ostracize you. But it's up to you whether or not you're going to accept that or move around like I did. And with that being said, this is just Bob Bowman, and I'm out.